Now that the pre-reeding is done, I've placed the reed in the reed holder of the loom. The warp is hanging in the front. I've attached the loop in the back to the tie-on bar at the back of the loom, and I've spread the warp out to 24 inches, which is my weaving width. The lease sticks are hanging in front of the reed, and now I need to move them to the back. Here's a picture of the tie-on bar with the warp loops all even out to 24 inches. So I smooth out my warp, and I take a piece of Texol and I wrap it around about 3 times around the warp chain, and then I bring the end of the Texol through the first buttonhole closest to the end. I'm going to use this Texol to hang onto the 2-quart milk jug that I have that's full of water. I'm going to use 1 milk jug for each of the warp chains that I have, and this is going to give me enough weight to put tension on the warp chain, so when I move the lease sticks from the front of the reed to the back, I'm not going to have any problem. So there we go, we got one of them done. Put the arrow pin in on the milk jug. Unfortunately, it's out of the camera range, but that's okay, you get the picture. And this is the time when the lease sticks are vulnerable to slip out. So now I've got weight on both. I'm going to untie the lease sticks from one to the other, but I'm going to keep those strings on that go from one end of the lease stick to the other end of the lease stick, because anytime that they're separated, there's a chance that one of them could slip out. Now I'm going to take the first lease stick closest to the reed, turn it on its side, and that makes a shed in the front of the reed and in the back of the reed. So now I can slip another lease stick behind the reed in this shed, and that will then move that first lease stick from the front to the back. I don't remove the lease stick from in front of the reed until I am sure that the one in the back is secure and tied and not going to slip out. So now I'll get the lease stick and I'll slip it through the shed, and I carefully slip it through the shed and make sure that it's in there. It looks good. Now I need to hook it. Okay, now I've tied it from one end to the other with a string. Now I feel secure that I can take that lease stick out from the front. Now I can take the other lease stick, turn it on its side, wiggle it around to make a nice shed, move it up against the reed, and there I have a nice shed and one behind the reed. So now I can put the stick in. Now the sticks are both in the back. I've successfully moved my lease sticks.